Composting can seem like a mystery. Some people throw everything in a pile and let it break down, and on the other spectrum, some folks get very technical with ratios, temperature, and timing. Composting doesn't have to be intimidating or take a lot of time, and it can be done with minimal effort. With a few basic steps, you can make enough compost for all of your gardening needs right in your own backyard. When it comes to composting, you can get really technical, especially when getting into thermal composting. But to get started making compost at home, you only need a little clear direction and a few basic supplies. What you will need to begin with is an area for your compost. You may want it to be away from your home. Most people think that it is because of the smell, but ultimately, if it smells, you are doing it wrong. You can do a freestanding pile, or you can put it into something. If you choose to put it into something, it needs to be something that has holes and can get a lot of oxygen and water. Wire fencing works well because of the airflow, but some choose to use old pallets. If you go the old pallet route, they need to be in a 3-foot diameter. We went with a piece of plastic with holes that is made specifically for composting. It wraps around it easily and is easily removed by simply removing the 3 latches. Now let's define the materials needed for a good compost. They are oxygen, water, carbon, and nitrogen. These are essential. Carbon, also known as browns, are wood chips, leaves, sawdust, cardboard, straw, and other woody organic materials. If you find that you don't have quite enough brown material to get started, you can check with cabinet shops for sawdust and wood shavings, get and shred cardboard from the box stores, or ask neighbors for leaves from their yard. You can also do what we did and purchase a cardboard shredder. It was one of the first videos we did, so go back and check out that video. It shreds all the cardboard that we get. We just make sure that all the tape and plastic are peeled off prior to shredding. Nitrogen, also known as greens, are animal manure and urine, kitchen waste, lawn clippings, or anything that has been harvested in its live or green state. It is important to note that certain manure from animals like chickens or cows or human waste must sit for at least 1 year to break down before putting into a garden. Others, such as rabbit manure and goat manure, are great for immediate use. Before you begin, break up the brown and the green materials as small as possible. This will increase the surface area and activate the pile faster, ultimately resulting in a quicker, more evenly finished compost. By volume, you are going to need about 2 parts of brown materials for every 1 part of greens. The measurement does not have to be perfect, just strive to get as close as possible. Water the pile frequently in between the layers. Now you can do this over and over and allow the rainwater to do its job. The bottom layers will break down over time and you will essentially have compost. However, this is a slow process, taking months. But don't fret, this process can be sped up if desired. If you want to speed up the process, you will need to turn the pile. Turning is simply scooping it out with a shovel and mixing it up. It's labor intensive, but it does work. Having the right temperature and correct water intake also plays a role in speeding up the composting process. A thermometer, specifically a compost thermometer, can help you gauge the temperature so you know when it's time to turn the compost. More on this in just a moment. Having the correct water content is also important. After your compost pile is full, reach in, grab a fistful, and squeeze. If you can barely get a drop or 2 of water out, you did great. If not, add more water slowly. letting it soak in gently. Stop when the water begins to drain out the sides or the bottom. Now back to the temperature. Place the long compost thermometer in the center of the pile inserted from the side. Within 3 to 5 days, you should see the temperature begin to rise. When it has reached 100 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it's time to turn your compost. If your pile remains around 120 degrees Fahrenheit, you don't need to turn your pile right away. However, if the pile begins to drop in temperature, you'll want to turn it to keep the activity going. The more attention you give it, the faster it will transform into compost. If you are actively turning your compost pile every other day, it's possible for you to have a finished compost pile about 18 days later. This will obviously depend on the size of the materials when you started, your climate, and how much attention you're able to give it. Having good quality compost can help your gardens grow in abundance. It will give your fruits and vegetables a boost in achieving their desired bounty and give you a plethora of food that will fill your belly. Remember, it's not about if, it's about when. S.H.T.F. Survival Homestead Teaching Farm thanks you for watching this video. Please continue to help us help you by liking, sharing, and subscribing.